Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Oh, Maier!
No, I'm kidding.
Get out! Get out! Get out, baseball! Get out! Get out! Get out!
This is kind of just the area we chucked all his baseball gear in because it was taking over this whole room here when he was playing. But like, yeah, this was his Little League hoodie from when he played for North Van Central. Different sort of awards, you know, PBL Player of the Year. That's what he wore at the draft combine to get him all access into the back rooms and things like that, and to just get interviewed. And you look at it and you feel pretty proud that you're part of it.
Adam was very high energy as a kid. He was always running around, getting into stuff, but he was, we could tell, like really good at anything he ever did.
He would wait for me after school for me to come home from work, and so he'd know approximately what time I'd be coming home, and he'd wait for me basically outside the front door and play around on the lawn with a soccer ball or a basketball or stick handle his hockey puck.
Just growing up and like playing catch with my dad in the front yard, or like him throwing me batting practice in the cage. There's so many times, or throwing tennis balls at the park or something like that. So many times where we've done that at the time I kind of took for granted that, you know, are still fun to do, and I always try and play catch with them and stuff when I get the chance.
It's hard as a parent because you think, you know, oh, my kid's so good at this, but then you also think, well, it's just because we're his parents, we think he's so wonderful.
Okay, let's go, Adam. Let's go. Let's go. Get out of here. Guys, get out. Come on, get out now.
He played with the North Shore Twins. He would have been 13 when he started that. And so that's called the PBL. That's the Premier Baseball League, and it's where all the best players go and where the best coaches are.
I know, like his parents were always there to support him, and I know he played a whole bunch of different sports. He wasn't just a baseball player. I think he played some pretty high-level hockey, certainly early on when he was younger. Being able to have a parent that's in your corner, right? Like as an athlete, you're always going to go through those ups and downs, and it's important to have somebody there to have those conversations with and kind of talk you through the tough times and be able to, you know, point you in the right direction. Maybe you've had a bad game, or you're, you know, I don't know, having those thoughts about maybe not playing anymore.
I remember he had a bad day at the plate. You know, his team was down, you know, just maybe one run or something like that. Late in the game, he had runners on base, might have been loaded bases, and he popped up to the catcher, you know, didn't even get it out of the outfield. He was so pissed off. And, you know, on the car ride home, you could tell he was just really mad, madder than I've ever seen him. And then he came home, and I heard him throw his bag down on the ground in this room here. And then I remember him mumbling something, and I was upstairs, and then I heard this big noise, bang. And I thought, okay, what did he do? And so I came downstairs, and he had taken his baseball bat and he had broken it over his leg. He, you know, fired it across the backyard into the woods kind of thing. So, you know, for me, it was like, yeah, maybe I should talk to him. Maybe I should just let him steam down for a little while. And I went and I got the barrel of the bat out of the trees, and I kept it. And I actually shoved it into the dirt behind a bush back here. And I didn't tell him, but I said, okay, I'm going to stick this in there, and I won't tell him that story that I kept the barrel of the bat.
We would have to leave work early. It was a constant juggle. There was, you know, well, we have another son too, so had to make sure he was fine. And so it was always one of us leaving work early or arranging a carpool or something. There was a lot of driving and a lot of, you know, drive-through dinners, and it was really busy. I think it's just a similar story for most families that have their kids in sports.
And just the multi-sports too, so that was in hockey, that was in baseball, that was in soccer, so it never really ended. There wasn't a season where he could take a break or we could take a break.
Bob and Amy, they're both super nice. All the time when we're over at their house, they're just so genuine and caring and accepting of having all of us over there all the time. I think they've definitely done a lot to help him get to where he is, just taking him everywhere. Like growing up, he was playing a lot of sports, like they're going to school, hockey, baseball, driving around all over the Lower Mainland, getting into sports. I mean, I know I couldn't have played any of the stuff I did without my parents.
His high school team, the North Shore Twins, was over in Deep Cove by my sister's place, and I have really fond memories now of, you know, just going to my sister's, and we would ride our bikes over, and sometimes my parents would come. We'd have a picnic, and it was really special to be able to watch those games. My most excited memory of watching him play was it wasn't a playoff, but he was on the North Shore Twins, and I think it was a quarterfinal, and they were playing against the North Delta Blue Jays.
Like, we were down to the last couple innings of our season, and we were down a couple runs, and you knew if we could get some guys on and you could get him up to the plate, like he was going to, succeed in that moment, because that's who he was.
He went up to bat, and they were down, and
right, and he loved those pressure situations. He loved those situations where the game was on the line.
yeah, he started complaining of pain in his elbow sort of towards the end of the summer in Cape Cod.
So that would be August of 2021.
He'd made the decision to go to Oregon, and we thought, you just got to rest your elbow.
In the third start that he got, after maybe 3 innings or something like that, he was on the mound. We were watching from home, and he just kind of grimaced and winced, and we thought, oh no, like what happened there? And then the pitching coach came out, and then he was holding his elbow, and we thought, okay, that's not good. And they took him out of the game, and then that's when he had to shut it down. So that was March of 2022.
He saw this great surgeon down in San Francisco, and he was able to see him right away. That's one of the many perks of going to a Division I school in the US, is that you have great access to medical attention. I flew down and met him in San Francisco, and he had the surgery, and it was successful, and I flew back to Eugene with him, and he recovered there, and everything went according to plan, and he was disappointed to miss his whole season, but he was also relieved in that he knew that the feeling in his elbow wasn't normal, wasn't good, and he was really happy to get it fixed, knowing that he will come back even possibly better than he was before. We were really thrilled that he was able to get the opportunity to go to Oregon, but again, it was, a bit of a pull at the heartstrings that your son's actually leaving and going hundreds of miles away, and you can't just, he can't just come home for a Sunday dinner anymore. He's matured a lot, I think, through this whole process that he's been through, and so I felt like he was, ready to move away and be on his own, or with his roommates or whatever. When he was in Oregon, we made it down to only one of his games, and then he only played in 3 games when he was with Oregon, and then had to come out due to his injury. But that was, a 8-hour drive to get there, and you got to book a hotel. It was quite something to get there. We're super keen to get down to Atlanta or wherever he's going to end up, and watch him play again.
Knowing that how much they love watching me play, and that they get to do that, and it's becoming, a little bit more rare that they're able to do that since I'm playing so far away. So it's definitely special to look up and see them in the stands, um, hopefully with a smile on their face, enjoying watching me play.
I took a picture of the TV set when he was pitching on TV because they televised the World U18 championships from South Korea. When I see him there, which is, very small in the picture, I just know it's him because of his style of pitching, so I can tell that's a real picture and it's not just somebody drew it. It makes me feel proud of what he's done because I really didn't do anything. I maybe taught him how to throw, how to hit, at the beginning, gave him some tools that he could sort of work with, but and maybe some advice later on about the education piece. And, my contribution is minor to the whole process, and I just want to support him. And he's done everything that he's had to do to get to where he is by hard work and by educating himself and to find that way to be, to have that competitive edge.
I think for Adam, he's had a bit of a rough year over this last year with, being injured and going through the surgery and the things that he has, and now moving on to professional baseball. I think he's going to, need a lot of family support, not only as he works his way back to the field, but also as he takes the first few steps into professional baseball.
I'm kind of amazed all of the things that he's managed to do, all the accomplishments. They just keep stacking up on each other, and he just keeps getting better and better. So it's really, I'm really amazed, and I'm super proud of him.
And I'm going to keep it in there until he makes the major leagues, until he actually plays a game in the show. The memories are all here for sure, and so I'm sure there'll be a day when it's all over, but my wife wants us to clean up this area, but this is as tidy as it gets, and that's the state that it's in right now.